Good morning, folks. Today we will be joined by an array of artists to discuss their art and their influences.
Oh boy, do we have a show for you tonight.
Shall we get started?
Our first guest tonight will be Franz Marx, an expressionist artist.
To start off, can you explain to us what Expressionism is?
Yes, very interesting question. You see, Expressionism, the artist distorts a picture to emphasize certain emotions within the picture, using stuff such as colors.
And were these techniques popular before World War I?
You know what? Yes, they were very popular. In Europe, there was lots of mixed emotions leading up to the war, and so artists such as me, we use Expressionism to express our feelings. In fact, with a friend of mine, we started the Expressionist group called Der Blaue Reiter. And with this, we try to popularize techniques and styles that Expressionists would use before the time of World War I.
And what were those techniques, Franz?
Well, we would select an image. Personally, my favorite would be something of nature. I was very fond of horses at the time. And we would distort this image and emphasize certain colors. For example, I would use red a lot to show violence in my paintings.
Interesting. And the war, how did such a massive event affect you and the movement?
Well, you see, lots of artists, as I said, would paint about it, since it was a very controversial topic all across Europe. But some artists would express their optimistic emotions for their beloved nation in these paintings, and very good input going into the war.
That's good. And how did the war affect you personally?
Well, you see, unfortunately, I was supposed to be taken out of the war due to my artistic talent, but sadly, weeks before, I was shot in the Battle of Verdun. So,
This is quite awkward. I'm sorry for asking.
How about we move on to the next question?
I think so.
How did Expressionism play a role after the war? Was it still popular or what?
Well, you see, after the war in Germany, the Nazis began to rise in popularity, and with that, Expressionism became less popular since artists like me were denounced as disgraceful. So after World War I, the Expressionist movement really declined in its popularity due to the Nazis burning paintings that we made. However, in today's painting, I think it's still very evident that there's still Expressionism in them, since artists use certain colors and symbols still to portray certain emotions.
Thank you so much, Franz. It was a pleasure meeting you tonight, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
How about a round of applause for our first guest, Franz Marx? And I'd like to welcome our next guest, Salvador Dali, and also a surrealist artist, a very popular artist. Dali, how are you?
Doing great today, thanks.
So you're a surrealist artist. Can you tell us what that is all about?
Yeah, we don't quite understand. Could you elaborate on the whole topic?
Yeah, so I'm a surrealist painter, and I blended consciousness and unconsciousness to create a sense of fantasy in a world of reality. So it permits the imagination to flourish. So like in this image, you take a realistically painted image and then you add paradoxical effects to produce an unrealistic but realistic image at the same time.
Interesting. And what exactly affected or inspired you, your work?
Well, my experience in World War I, so it caused the development of these ideas. So we all felt a sense of despair and disunity, leading us to reject the traditional modes of art and then take an unrealistic approach to our paintings. So this
Well, Thanks for coming out today.
Thanks
We
for
really
joining us.
appreciate
We
it.
appreciate your explanation. I guess I could understand a little quite more.
He definitely does. And for our next guest, we have Andre Burton, a French writer. Hi, Andre. How about you tell us a bit about yourself?
Well, man, I like to write.
Well, we get what you like to write, but what do you write about?
Well, I like to write about a lot of things. I don't know really what I write about because I can't really understand it, but you know.
How do you not understand what you write?
You know, that's interesting. It's because like surrealism is like very, I don't know how to explain it. It's like you can't really say it in one word, but it's like, I guess a mixture of break from fantasy and realities in sort of a way, you know?
Hi, but jokes aside, can you please tell us what your incomprehensive garbage is about?
Hey bro, chill with that. I'm not trying to call it, don't call it incomprehensive garbage. It's surrealism, okay? Surrealism, like Dali explained before.
His explanation wasn't the best, so you're gonna have to.
Yeah, Dali's explanation was a bit
Yeah,
confusing.
so you're gonna have to.
Okay. Well, it's like this break from reality. It's like you're mixed in a dream. You're trying to write about a blend of reality. While trying to, you know, slide in some fantasy in there.
So you're incorporating a dream into the reality.
Yeah.
And how do you show surrealism in your writing?
Well, like if you read my writing, maybe you'll understand how I show it.
Your writing.
No, nobody reads my writing.
Nobody understands your writing.
Yeah, I don't understand myself sometimes. That's a good point. I don't understand myself sometimes, but like, well, start off maybe I use like this autonomistic approach to my writing. It's like this hypnotic portrayal of reality, and I feel like that's really important because we're trying to like achieve this dreamlike reality, and I think that's important.
And what were your influences to creating such a useless literary device?
Well, I wouldn't say it's useless. It's kind of disrespectful.
I'll leave with the jokes.
I got that jokes. Okay, but you know, war was a big factor of why, this influenced my dadism. Yeah. It's let me educate you. Let me educate you real quick.
You're right. You're the guest here now.
Yeah. It's this very pessimistic view. It's kind of describing the anarchy. It kind of comes out of the war. I think that's why it's significant. It's that war was such a big influence, such as like World War I. It brought such horrors. Like, why are humans fighting for such criminal causes? Like, why? I don't understand. So I think that's why I like to write surrealistic arts, because like it portrays how I feel about war and nationalism.
And what influenced such a bad lifestyle?
Well, war. Were you listening?
Plain and simple.
Oh, sorry, I kind of don't know what you were talking about.
You guys talk a lot.
Yeah,
you did
kind
talk
of
about
that.
that.
I know you guys. Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's enough.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our next guests come from the German cabaret. Can we give a warm round of applause to Carl and Claire?
How does he usually do?
Take a seat.
Please, take a seat. For our audience, do you mind explaining what your art is?
Yeah, the German cabaret is a performance art, like you said, that is very popular right now. It combines a multiple type of performances such as dance, theater, and comedy, which is usually used to satire the current events.
It's important to note that it is really popular right now, but it's existed for around 40 years. Its immense popularity right now is due to the ban on cabaret in Germany just being lifted after the war.
And how did you cope with the ban? How do you cope with that?
It was definitely hard. Cabaret was a growing sensation in Germany prior to the war, and the abrupt ban caused that growth just to stop, and that meant that we couldn't have an audience legally.
And how about the new emerging cabaret? How's that going for you?
It's good because a lot of people who experienced cabaret before the war could now experience it again and compare those two.
Okay.
And what was the ban about?
As you know, in 1914, the German Empire was under a lot of criticism from the population, and cabaret deals with current events, so we did partake in that criticism. But the Kaiser was trying to maintain a positive image, so he didn't accept the scrutiny or the cabaret in general.
For just about any cabaret show in Germany, you'll see that the shows are now much more socially and politically centered. The cabaret is an art that is more influenced by current events and other types of art at this time because people view it as something greater than art. It's seen as something that gets its message across whether or not that message is popular.
Interesting. And you know why the message was so popular?
Well, there's obviously the ban, but I don't think that's why cabaret is so popular right now. I think it's because there's a news aspect to it, so we do assess the current events. But what I believe is what's causing the most popularity is because the Germans are offered an escape from their lives when they come to a cabaret show.
And the popularity is growing outside of Europe also. What are your comments on that?
Yeah, it's, of course, France is beginning cabaret shows, and so is Britain. And the thing is, everyone in Europe right now is in sort of a depression. The economy, especially in Germany, is in a depression because of Versailles, and everyone who comes to cabaret, they just enjoy and laugh, and they ignore what the situation in Europe is right now, and they just have a good time.
It's a getaway, is what you're kind of saying.
What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, he means that like the German people are still in a state of chaos because they just got out of the war, and the Treaty of Versailles is causing this like economic depression in Europe. So
Instability.
yeah, so everyone in Germany is basically looking for an escape to kind of remind them of what the times were like before the war.
It really expands past Germany as well. I've had a British author documenting my show last night, and I'm pretty sure France is beginning cabaret shows as well. So
Yeah, as you said, yeah.
Well, all right. I feel like we should wrap it up now. Thank you
so
guys
much
for being here tonight. And our next guest will be Kathy Golwitz. Please give her a hand.
Pat, you use prints as your medium.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, prints are easier to reproduce. One of my goals is to confront social injustice and inequality, and using an easily reproducible medium can allow me to reach a maximum amount of people with my artwork.
And what exactly made you want to portray social injustice?
Well, after all the awful events like World War I, it is important to portray the inhumanity that is happening around us. Human lives should not be this expendable.
Your thinking process when writing, how do you feel? What emotions do you feel? And just what goes into your art?
Okay, well, in my earlier artwork, I depicted women and children in charcoal without any color. World War I affected my family and took away my son of 21 years. His life ended much too early for no just cause. The Germans had no right taking him away from me.
And how exactly did the public respond to your work?
Well, at first, it was greeted with great respect. However, controversy began to become popular in Germany, and soon the German government took away my job as a professor, and then afterwards, I was no longer allowed to exhibit my artwork. This is because the Germans didn't want to portray what was happening because of the war.
Well, Kathy, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
See. Well, thank you, folks. Have a good evening. It was a great show. Hope to see you again next time.
Thank you for being here.